Hi, this is Jeremy and welcome to today's Feature Spotlight. With me is Sebastian.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hi. So it's been some time since the last episode, so we have really a lot to catch up on. What we're going to discuss here is the management console, HiveMQ, Grafana Canvas, the new documentation, and using Flatcar instead of K3 OS. So let's start with, I think, the most exciting one, the new management console. Sebastian.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. So, as you can see, we have a documentation for the management console, and you can immediately get started. Just download and install. I already did that, so let's just open it. I've already created an account for authentication. And yeah, what can you do with the management console? For now, we can install the UMH stack locally. So add device, select your version, your target, and since I have already an installation, it's going to overwrite it, but doesn't matter. And yeah.
Yeah, now it's installing, and what's happening is the entire United Manufacturing Hub is installed. So everything from Node-RED, all these connectivity services, to the database, to MQTT, to Kafka, up to Grafana, everything bundled together is now installed on your computer and immediately available after installation. Maybe not immediately, maybe you still need to wait like 5 or 8 minutes till everything's running, because it needs to download and everything depending on your internet connection, but still everything will be available. You don't need to configure anything, you can get started immediately. Okay, so we skipped a little bit of time here so that you don't have to see the installation process. We skipped, I think, like 10 or 15 seconds. So, Sebastian.
Yeah, once the installation is finished, just click on Finish, and the installation took place, and we can now open Lens.
So Lens, if you don't know it yet, is a tool to manage Kubernetes clusters, and we've been using it extensively in the United Manufacturing Hub.
Okay, so let's see if the cluster is available. And as you can see, a new cluster appeared. And we are connecting. And as you can see, all the pods are now running and installing.
Let me also show you where we want to progress from there. If you press in the management console in K3D, you can already see a small preview. So the idea is you can not only create it, but then you can also manage the entire infrastructure. So let me show you the mockups. What you can now do is, I think we already saw that one. In the future, and this is where we're working on, so in the future also means the next couple of weeks, you will not only be able to install it locally on your PC, which is really great to get started, but you don't want to put your laptop into the production. You also want to install it on remote devices. And for this, we will also later talk about Flatcar. This is like a replacement for K3 OS. Either you can install it just on an OS, on an edge device, or on-premise server. If you already have like a Kubernetes cluster running or managed Kubernetes servers, you can also install it just as a Helm chart. Or if you already have an existing installation, and most users of the United Manufacturing Hub will be into that category, you can just click Add to Existing Cluster. Then you will be able to configure this. At the moment, you saw that you could select the version. What will come here, you can, in the future, add here and disable certain features. So you don't need the entire historian functionality on all of the edge devices. You don't need timescale to be running there. It's enough if you have there the unified namespace running, MQTT broker, plus some bridging to the main server where you would then have the historian running. And for the Flatcar installation, the only thing that you need to do is insert a USB stick, flash your operating system, put it in the edge device, boot from it, and everything else will happen automatically. And as soon as it checks in, you will get all your devices shown up. You can model them accordingly and according to ISO 95 model, or maybe you want to think more about edge device or server devices. And what you can now do is you can now deep dive. We already saw in the a preview of this, but let me show you how you can interact now with it. So assuming this now assumes that you have everything running on your local PC computer using K3D. And what you can now see first are arrows that are happening around the system. So you don't have to search through all the logs, through all these edge devices. You just see them. Also, I don't know if I can go back here. You also saw it in the overview previously where were the arrows. And here we can also see that, okay, Node-RED and Sensor Connect seem to have some arrows. We can go in. We can also change the configurations here. So no need anymore to use like UMH lens or changing configuration variables. It will all be possible in the UI here. And you can also just open Node-RED just out of the management console. And now you can add more data sinks, more data processors, more data sources, basically everything that we had before in like tutorials, how to insert ABC into the United Manufacturing Hub. You will be able to do it here automatically. And then I think this one is, I think, quite exciting. Data flow. So imagine now you have like hundreds of edge devices and hundreds and thousands of topics. You can have that type of size very quickly. And now imagine that something is going wrong and you don't want to think about on the device thing. So, okay, where's the error? Is it on edge device or server? We had the previous view. What you can do here is you view it from a data point of view. So what just happened is it traced the messages through the system. So it's kind of taking a snapshot. It's already happening right at the moment at the United Manufacturing Hub, but we haven't implemented this in the management console yet to also show the data. It will basically fetch the data. It will trace all these messages in the unified namespace. And now you can see exactly where does this message come from. It comes from a PLC. It comes through OPC UA Connect. It went in this edge device. It went through Kafka. It was processed here, apparently. It was normalized. So it came in as IA raw PLC 226. We can click on it. We see, okay, how is it looking? Similar to like MQTT Explorer or COL or console or what you might know. Just everything in a similar UI. And then you can start applying your own processing logics on top of it. So this is like, you can do everything with Node-RED, and Node-RED will also automatically show up here. But if you want to have something that is versionable and very minimal, you can use, for example, Bentos here in this case, and will show you where's the data coming from, where is it going, who did the last change on this specific component. You can add a block-lang logic here, and then the data will be automatically sent back here to Kafka, and you can see how it's bridged, and then also bridged to the server. And this is supposed to give you an overview and help you manage the unified namespace. I think now I talked quite a lot about the management console. There are even way more features coming up here. This is like will be one of our main commercial products. So we're spending really a lot of time in here. There will be always a free community edition with certain features. So you don't have to fear that the features that you see right now in the version of it, that they will be taken away from you. I think we talked long enough to actually, can we take a look into UMH lens?
Yeah. Okay.
I think Kafka is still not running. Maybe we can speed it up by just deleting the pod and letting it recreate. And then we can talk a little bit about this small tip to get the initial startup quicker. And then we can talk in the meantime about Grafana Canvas.
Yeah, sure.
So show what you created in Grafana Canvas.
Okay, so Grafana Canvas is a more intuitive way to maybe display shop floor data. As you can see in the picture here, like conventional dashboards, you have like these big piles and yeah, it's not really intuitive which machine it is. And with Canvas, yeah, you can embed a picture in the background and put those custom information on top of it. And this is like a really intuitive way to, like, again, create a shop floor dashboard instead of those conventional piles on the left.
And I think this type of thing, I had a discussion under a LinkedIn post, I remember. Someone was basically arguing, hey, this type of view, I mean, it looks nice. I think it was on Reddit. I think it looks nice, but isn't like a more semantic way of the shop floor. Isn't this better to digest? And I think I agree with this with this person. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. This one is really good to get the management excited. In production, you would probably use a more semantic way, maybe abstract a little bit. You really don't need the shop floor layout. You just want to see how does the process flow. But I think Grafana just published something really related to that.
Grafana like announced a new update, and here you can do like data flows in some kind. And yeah,
maybe just play the video. So this is probably what that person meant with semantic flows. So you can create your machines. You can still add all the values there, but you don't need a shop floor dashboard here, and you can focus on the really important information here. And this one is available, should be available immediately. I mean, maybe we still have to update the Grafana version. So in the next version of the UMH, you also will have this feature, but the Grafana Canvas feature is available already at the moment. So let's check again into UMH Lens. So everything is running perfect. So we can take a look at the HiveMQ change. So what we did is we basically replaced HiveMQ with HiveMQ, and the only thing that you need to do is to upgrade the unit manufacturing up to the latest version. I could deep dive now into all the reasons, but we wrote a blog article about it. You will find it in the video description further below, where we compared all the MQTT brokers and what their advantages were. And there you will also find the reason why we changed to HiveMQ. And I'm giving over to Sebastian, who can show you a little bit how it now behaves.
Okay, just gonna import a simple flow to show you what we did. Okay, so instead of having to always enter your IP or whatever, we have now the service name of our previous broker.
So everything, all your Node-RED flows will still be backwards compatible. There's nothing that you need to change.
This is our current broker, and here we tried like an approach where we don't always need to know the broker which is currently running. So all those nodes should connect, and as you can see, they're connected. So yeah,
so entirely backwards compatible. There are, if you want to enable authentication, authorization, I think there's a good way to go to the new documentation, actually. If you want to enable this, it will look a little bit different. So let's go maybe to the new documentation, because there we have some, if you go there on the left side, production guide, security, you'll find some tutorials on first how to do it still for the old HiveMQ, but then also how you can now enable role-based access control or set up the HiveMQ public key infrastructure if you want that. But I think this is also a good way to get to the next topic, the new documentation and learn. Sebastian.
Okay, so our previous documentation wasn't precise enough between like the documentation itself of the UMH and those learning content. And now we split it up into Learn, where you find all relevant topics to work with the UMH. And
blog articles, introduction to IT/OT, what is previously known as knowledge, a lot of tutorials.
Yeah. So like all structured under like the main topic, like Node-RED. You can click on Node-RED and see all the courses and best practice guides for it. And if you just want the documentation on like a technical view of the UMH, we reorganized this one. So the get started guides, features, architecture, and so on. And also very exciting, like the production guide, which shows you how to deploy and manage the UMH in production.
And all of these production guides, they were hidden between some not that important tutorials about how to do like very random stuff on the United Manufacturing Hub. So what we did is all the more random stuff or more exciting stuff is moved to Learn, and here only contains the stuff that you actually need when working daily with the United Manufacturing Hub. And I think let me look into the list here. So we talked about Management Console, we talked about HiveMQ, Grafana Canvas, the documentation and Learn. And I think now we can go, if you go to installation, the under the production guide, Flatcar. So one of the changes that we did was we switched from K3 OS as our recommended operating system to Flatcar. What was the main reason? The main reason was that K3S is not supported anymore. So we needed a new operating system, and we chose Flatcar because, can you open the article? There it is. Wait, I see it. And we wrote a blog article also about it. So first, why are we even choosing something like Flatcar K3 OS? Why are we not using like Ubuntu? The reason is immutability. We want to have, when you start to have like hundreds or thousands of edge devices, you don't want to go into each of these devices and update them manually. Quite tedious process. Also, you want to have all the configuration in a central place. We already have it with the United Manufacturing Hub. We already have it with the Management Console, but you also want to include the operating system on the bottom of the stack, so that you don't have the situation that someone installed a system, installed some weird Linux packages, didn't document it, and then at the end, like 3 years ago or 3 years later, nobody knows anymore what's going on there, and everyone's like, okay, please just don't touch it, which is kind of a worst case scenario for IT. So we're using the immutable approach, and for this, we took a look at a couple of ones, but based on a recommendation, we then chose to use Flatcar. It has nothing to do with Kubernetes by default, but you can really easily install it on it. It has better logging options. You can much better customize it. We even did like the firewall thing that we previously did with OPNsense. We all just put it into Flatcar, into a single configuration file, which is really amazing. Also, you don't need to are not forced to use Kubernetes at the moment with it anymore. You can also deploy your own applications using Docker Compose on Flatcar. If you want to understand like how it's used, what's happening in the background, because there are like a lot of steps automatically happening in the background, so that you just have to insert a USB stick and your edge device is entirely customized, just entirely for you, entirely automatic. So we described here a little bit, and I don't want to go into all the details. And what we're going to do for the next in the next weeks, getting slowly to the end of the episode here, is we want to ensure that the switch from K3S to Flatcar is very smooth. We already started writing detailed guides on how you can back up all the stuff on K3 OS, so that you can, this is like, I think the easiest thing. If you're not really in production, you can just spawn up the new instance of the United Manufacturing Hub, and we wrote some guides how we can transfer the data to it. So first all the configuration, then the Node-RED flows, and then the data in the database, so that you have it all in the new cluster. But then we're also working at the moment on a smooth transition, that you have a way to switch from K3S to Flatcar without any downtime. This is especially important for our current users that are using it in production. It's still going to take us some weeks till we get this finished, because it's running production and we really want to make sure before we publish it that this transition is very smooth. Then one thing is the that where we're working on is the compatibility with ARM, so that we can better use it in home automation. Maybe Sebastian, you can tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so I'm currently working on like a little project where I measure the soil humidity of my room plants, and I'm using an Arduino Opta for that. And for the UMH itself, I want to run it on a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, so the main goal is to ensure that Unite Manufacturing Hub also runs in your home, but also that you can get started even more easier, that you don't need the edge device, you just need a Raspberry Pi, maybe some Arduinos to get everything started, which can be a huge help for people who installed it like locally on their computer, but they don't want to move yet into production, maybe just because they're feeling like a little bit uncomfortable. So moving it to Raspberry Pi and maybe connecting some LoRaWAN sensors, Arduino, could be a good way as a good intermediate step between having it locally on your PC and having your having 30 factories connected to the Unite Manufacturing Hub. And then the last thing is we are reworking the data model. We've been already reworking it, I think, now for a year. We have a proposal out there. You can find it on the Discord channel. We're thinking about the unified namespace topic structure. We even proposed something to the Sparkplug-B standard. Let's see where the discussion takes us. Before we really start implementing it, we already did smaller things where we're really sure, but before we really want to do it, we are waiting for your feedback here. We already got some feedback and already worked it in, but we really want to make sure that this is something that's usable in production. So go on our Discord, join our community if you're interested in this topic, also see what we're thinking about with the ISA 95 model and stuff like this. And I think we're through for this episode here.
Yep.
Yeah, so thank you. Thank you for your time, Sebastian.
Yeah, no problem.
And yeah, let's see us in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.